Orangutan, the lost sages of the forest. The deep, echoing silence coming from the heart of the forest. For a moment, everything stops. The wind, the leaves, the birds, the insects, all fall silent. And then, high above, at the very top of the massive trees, a pair of eyes appears. These eyes do not belong to just an animal. These eyes belong to the oldest consciousness on Earth. Orangutan. When you see it, you do not think you are simply watching an animal. It feels as if you are encountering a sage who has been observing this planet for thousands of years. Silent, dignified, deep, and patient. Every movement is deliberate. Every gaze is filled with meaning. In this documentary, you will not only get to know a species. This video is, in fact, a mirror of humanity's relationship with nature. Because the orangutan is not merely a resident of nature. It is its memory. And now, we enter the world of one of the creatures whose mind most closely resembles the human mind, into the heart of the world's most complex forests. The orangutan is one of the most intelligent beings living on our planet. Its intelligence is measured not only by its problem-solving ability, but by its emotional depth, social awareness, and capacity to learn. They can use tools, make plans, teach, learn, feel sadness, feel joy, and mourn. But this wisdom does not exist loudly. It exists in absolute silence. The life of orangutans begins and ends high in the tropical rainforests, dozens of meters above the ground. They spend most of their lives among the trees. Every branch, every leaf, every shadow is their universe. From the moment they are born, they cling tightly to their mothers. An orangutan infant experiences one of the longest childhoods in nature. It does not leave its mother for years. It learns how to feed, which fruit ripens when, which leaf is medicine and which is poison. This knowledge is passed down from generation to generation. It is not written. It is taught silently. Orangutan culture is like an invisible book written by the forest. And for this reason, the disappearance of orangutans is not merely the loss of a species. It is the erasure of a page from the memory of the world. Orangutans exist in three main species: the Bornean orangutan, the Sumatran orangutan, and the Tapanuli orangutan. All live in the tropical rainforests of Southeast Asia. These regions are among the oldest and richest ecosystems on the planet. However, these forests are shrinking day by day due to human activity. Trees are cut, lands are burned, silence is broken. And with every lost tree, an orangutan's world is destroyed. An orangutan recognizes thousands of trees throughout its life. Each one has a different fruiting season, leaf structure, and shape of shade. Carries this map in its mind. But we are tearing that map apart. The eyes of orangutans are among the eyes that most closely resemble human eyes. In their gaze, there is fear, curiosity, anger, love, and sorrow. When you watch them, you feel that you are not observing an animal, but another consciousness. And perhaps that is why the silence of orangutans disturbs us so deeply, because that silence reminds us of what we have done. Here is where the story begins. With the birth of an orangutan, with the breath of a forest, and with humanity's role in this story. The world of orangutans is far closer to the world of humans than we think. They are not only intelligent, they are conscious. They do not simply solve a problem. They understand why that problem exists. When they encounter an obstacle, they produce a solution, try, fail, try again, and finally learn. This learning is permanent. When they encounter the same situation again, they remember their previous experiences and act accordingly. This is not merely instinct. This is mental recording and reasoning. The mind of an orangutan perceives the forest as a whole. It knows where the trees are, which fruit ripens in which season, which leaves have medicinal effects, and which barks are poisonous. This knowledge is discovered individually but transmitted across generations. A mother teaches her infant not only how to feed, but the language of the forest. Which sound is danger, which silence is peace, which scent is the messenger of rain, which wind brings the storm. This transmission takes years. An orangutan infant does not leave its mother for approximately 8 years. Such a long learning period in nature is seen only in species with high cognitive capacity. Orangutans can make plans. Before picking fruit from a tree, they observe their surroundings, evaluate the movements of other animals, and choose the safest and most efficient path. Sometimes, for a fruit they cannot reach, they break a branch, use it as a tool, and pull the fruit toward themselves. This behavior is not random. It is tool use. This ability is observed in very few creatures besides humans. Their emotional world is just as deep. Orangutans feel sadness, joy, fear, form bonds, and mourn. It has been observed that an orangutan infant that loses its mother refuses to eat for days, becomes motionless, and disconnects from its surroundings. When an orangutan loses a close one, it sits at the top of a tree for a long time, silently observing its surroundings. This is not merely a survival reflex. This is the awareness of loss. Their social life is not as crowded as assumed, but their bonds are strong. Orangutans usually live alone, yet they recognize their neighbors, know their boundaries, and occasionally communicate. They call out, receive responses, and are aware of each other's presence. Especially the bond between females and their offspring is one of the strongest bonds in nature. This bond is not only biological, it is emotional. Their feeding strategy is not based on hunting, but on gathering and observation. Orangutans recognize hundreds of different plant species. Fruits, leaves, bark, roots, insects, and sometimes small invertebrates are part of their diet. But not every food is the same. Some provide energy, some heal, some merely sustain life. The orangutan knows this distinction. When sick, it chews certain leaves. When injured, it applies the sap of certain plants to its wound. These behaviors are not coincidence. They are learned medical knowledge. Orangutans are the architects of the forest. They carry the seeds of the fruits they eat for kilometers. In this way, the forest renews itself, new trees grow, and the ecosystem remains alive. In a forest where orangutans disappear, tree diversity declines, the soil weakens, the water cycle is disrupted. This effect progresses in a chain. The absence of one species determines the fate of dozens of others. However, this ancient balance is rapidly being destroyed by human activity. Rainforests are being converted into agricultural land. Millions of trees are being cut down for palm oil production. While forests are burned, the nests, food sources, and travel routes of orangutans are destroyed. For an orangutan, the forest is not only a habitat, it is memory. When that memory disappears, the orangutan cannot survive. Orphaned infants appear when their mothers are killed or their forests are destroyed. These infants cannot survive on their own in the wild. They are taken to rehabilitation centers. They are fed by humans, taught, and prepared to return to the forest. However, the knowledge learned in nature can never be completely taught by human hands. Therefore, every lost mother is not only a life, but the destruction of a library of wisdom. Today, orangutans are in critical danger of extinction. Their populations have dramatically declined over the last century. In some regions, their numbers have fallen by 90%. This is not merely a statistic. This is the silent cry of a species. And humanity is not merely an observer in this story. It is the author. When an orangutan looks at us, we see ourselves. The origin of our intelligence, the reflection of our emotions, the mirror of our consciousness. Their loss is the loss of our past and our future. Therefore, protecting orangutans is not merely saving an animal. It is protecting humanity's own story. The presence of orangutans in the forest is one of the most delicate balances that nature has established over time. Every branch an orangutan walks on, every leaf it touches, every fruit it eats shapes the future of the forest. Because the orangutan is not only a living being, it is a carrier. Carries seeds, knowledge, life. Behind a new sapling growing in the shade of a tree, there is often the trace of an orangutan. For this reason, when the orangutan disappears, the forest does not merely fall silent. It collapses. Humans often do not notice this collapse, because the destruction of nature is not sudden. progresses silently and slowly. Trees are cut, animals retreat, bird songs fade, insects disappear, the soil hardens, rivers become cloudy. This chain unravels like a button. The orangutan is one of the most critical links in this chain. The social structure of orangutans is more complex than assumed. They are not herd animals, but they are not alone either. Each individual knows the presence of others around it. They establish a distant neighborly relationship. They occasionally meet, communicate, seem to share food resources, yet each individual protects its own living area. This balance reduces conflict and prevents the depletion of forest resources. Their communication is not limited to sound. Facial expressions, body posture, eye contact, and touch each carry meaning. An orangutan's gaze can signal threat, invitation, curiosity, or peace. This language is independent of words, yet extremely clear. Orangutans build their nests at night with great care. They build a new nest every night. Branches are broken, leaves are woven, a bed is prepared. These nests are built not only for sleep but for safety. An orangutan nest is one of the most sophisticated temporary structures in nature. This is engineering, not instinct but a skill developed through experience. As they age, the wisdom of orangutans increases. They move less, choose more carefully, become more patient. The young take risks, the old make plans. This difference is the foundation of survival in nature. The forest does not keep those who rush. It keeps those who understand. When human intervention shatters this order, orangutans try to adapt. But every attempt to adapt is a concession. When left without trees, orangutans are forced to descend to the ground. On the ground, they are vulnerable. They encounter humans more often, danger increases, the likelihood of death rises. As the world of the orangutan narrows, the world of humans becomes more fragile. Because the forest is not only for the orangutan. That forest regulates rain, cleans the air, nourishes the soil, balances the climate. The orangutan is the guardian of this system. If the guardian leaves, the system collapses. There is still hope today. Conservation efforts, rehabilitation centers, forest restoration projects, and conscious communities are trying to change this story. Orphaned orangutans are being prepared for the forest again. Damaged areas are being regreened, corridors are being created. But time is running out, because nature is patient, but not limitless. Orangutans cannot speak, but they tell. They are silent, but they teach. To listen to them requires not ears, but conscience. And perhaps what humanity needs most today is this: to learn once again from these silent teachers of nature. An orangutan wakes as the morning sun filters through the forest. It slowly straightens, observes its surroundings, touches the branches. It begins life without hurry. Because in the world of the orangutan, time does not flow as humans know it. Its time is measured by the rhythm of nature. The direction of the wind, the sound of rain, the scent of leaves, all are clocks. Humans, however, try to dominate time, and nature as well. The price of this effort is being paid by orangutans today. But tomorrow, this price will return to humanity. Because when forests disappear, not only orangutans vanish. Rain, water, soil, air, and climate disappear as well. And this loss cannot be compensated by any technology. When you look into the eyes of an orangutan, you see the past. The first forests, the first rains, the first life. In the same eyes, you also see the future. If we allow it, this documentary is not merely the story of an animal. This is the story of humanity's bond with nature. And if that bond is broken, nothing will ever be the same. The orangutan does not speak, but with every movement it says something. I am here. You are here. This world belongs to both of us. And perhaps nature expects only this from us: to listen,